Your life can change in an instant without you even knowing it. Well, at least not right away. But that's what happens when you play the lottery. You play because you hope you're going to win millions. But, deep down inside, you know that the odds aren't in your favor. But what would you do if you found out that you picked the winning lottery numbers? Would you buy yourself a new car? Buy your mom a house? Rub your new fortune in your ex's stupid face? These are just some of the questions that needed answers when one UK man became a multimillionaire after his girlfriend kicked him out.
Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell to be inspired by these heartwarming stories every day.
There's a woman in the UK who was probably kicking herself after she learned that Paul Long, the man she had split up with over a month earlier, had won $13 million in lottery winnings. Lottery winner Paul Long, who's 55, and from Wickford, Essex, had an amicable split from his girlfriend of 5 years, Julie West, who's 52. On Feb. 1, 2018, he had moved out of their shared home. Then, one seemingly typical Saturday, Long played the lottery and won approximately £9.3 million, which is over $13 million US, from a lucky dip lottery ticket. But initially, he didn't bat an eyelash, because the way he found out was exhilarating to say the least. Long claimed he only had about $10 in his account. I woke up the next morning and had an email that I thought said I'd won £9,000, a little over $11,000. He forwarded the email to his friend, who informed him he had actually won millions. Long reached out to the Lotto helpline to confirm that he was the only winner. He even asked them if this was a scam. It wasn't. All of a sudden my phone's red hot. Everyone loves you, he told the Mirror. When his favorite team, the Leyton Orient FC, won 3-0 against Woking in the National League, Paul was on such a high that he bought the lucky dip lottery ticket that ended up turning him into an instant millionaire. He was with his ex-girlfriend, Julie West, the day he won the lottery. She asked if I wanted to stay over on the way back from football on Saturday to look after the cat because she was away. Long told the Mirror that his ex-girlfriend was probably gutted after learning he won $13 million on the lottery. Who wouldn't be? Long himself probably would have been devastated if the situation had been reversed, though. Long and his ex may no longer be together, but he claimed that he would not necessarily deny her the benefits of his new fortune. You never know, I might take her for a holiday or a meal, he told the Mirror. When West was approached by the Mirror and asked if she was happy for Long, she simply shrugged and said, "I suppose so," but claimed that Long was out of order for assuming that she was gutted, which she wanted to be clear about. Long is a former Dagenham Ford plant worker who was looking for a new job that would help him make his monthly payments. But just as he was struggling to make ends meet, he won the lottery, which to most people, is nothing but a wild fantasy. But for Long, this was the beginning of a new life. Long had worked at the Ford plant for over a decade, but he injured his Achilles tendon pulling a suitcase up the stairs. This resulted in his unemployment, which, at Long's age, was a horrible situation to find yourself in. But now that he's a millionaire, he's no longer looking for work. Discovering that he was a millionaire was a total shocker. I have to admit it's been a crazy few days, and it's only been in the last 24 hours that I have dared to believe it's real, he told the Mirror. Once his new reality started to sink in, he decided to celebrate with a bottle of beer, a cup of tea, and a big meal that involved chicken, steak and ribs. As you can imagine, Long was also planning to do some shopping as well. Long probably wouldn't have even thought about playing the lottery if his favorite football team, the Leyton Orient, hadn't won, so he did consider using his winnings to support them financially. Orient's CEO Danny Macklin went to the Camelot press conference to congratulate Long and invite him to watch a home match against Maidenhead United. Now that he was loaded, he hoped to convince Long in investing in his favorite team. Long was on the fence about investing his money on the Leyton Orient because the team's main investor, Kent Teague, had admitted that he would likely lose money with the team. Long told the Mirror that the investment was way too risky for someone like him. "I haven't got as many millions to lose as Kent." Still, he isn't closed off to the possibility of helping in other ways, like through sponsorship. If the Orient's Macklin is holding out hope, he probably shouldn't hold out for Long to invest in the football club he's been a fan of since he was 11. Meanwhile, Long feels that his ex-wife, Lisa, is happy for him because his newly acquired funds will help support the 3 grown-up children they had together when they were married. He now has the chance to buy season tickets for himself and his son Elliot, but he has no intention of making his kids instant millionaires. "I think they should learn the value of things," he told the Mirror. "I want to give them a life where I know they're going to be all right," Long continued telling the Mirror about his kids. So, he might buy a few properties for them as well as himself, but he won't buy a mansion or spoil them rotten. Thinking of other ways to treat himself now that money's not an issue, lottery winner Paul Long told the Mirror that he'd like to take a holiday, but that he won't spend a week in a caravan, because he'd like to enjoy some sunshine. Long believes this money will give him the chance to make those closest to him smile. The future is going to be very rosy, but it's not just my rosy journey, I fully intend to take everyone on the journey with me, he told the Mirror. Money probably won't change him much. However, Long did put around $320 as a deposit on a Ford EcoSport that wasn't really that flashy at a car show. He also joked that he might switch to a posher brand of tea, which he now absolutely can afford. If you enjoyed this story, then wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. Ever wondered who used to own your house? Or what's really underneath your backyard? Because this guy found a secret hatch in his backyard. And what he uncovered blew his mind. Finding buried treasure on the beach or in the backyard is the stuff that most kids' dreams are made of. But one man from Arizona actually got the chance to live his childhood fantasy. John Sims, who goes by Capt Antarctica on Reddit, has lived in his home in Tucson for a couple of years. He never considered himself an adventurer. But recently, that changed. Sims considered his Arizona home to be his sacred space, but he didn't know that his house held a secret from a dark past, one that had remained hidden for decades. The Cold War got pretty close to the Tucson area between the 1960s and the 1980s. In fact, according to the Arizona Daily Star, 18 intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles were positioned in the Sonora Desert. The missiles had the impressive ability to reach a targeted location throughout the Soviet Union in 25 minutes. But that would suggest that the Soviets could have retaliated just as quickly. Given the fear of Soviet retaliation, building fallout shelters during the Cold War era was not uncommon. But what possible connection did Sims have to this rather dark chapter in American history? An ominous discovery awaited Sims in his backyard, and once he realized it was there, he took to Reddit to share what he'd found after the home's previous owner tipped him off. Sims had found what looked like a drawing through city records. The map was vague, but the permit the city had on file suggested that there was a 12-foot diameter blast shelter in his yard. Sims had studied the information he had received from the city to determine how the shelter came into existence. It turned out that it was constructed way back in 1961. The original plans for his property had left Sims intrigued. There was something in his yard that wasn't in plain sight. So the question remained, would the plans point him in the right direction? Sims found a few potential spots and dug a couple of holes in his backyard. Then he hired a local metal detectorist to help him scan the entire area. That's when he discovered something incredible. Spot number 2 was the winner. After doing a little more digging, Sims found the hatch of the Cold War fallout shelter flipped upside down. It was time to take a closer look. Sims' heart raced as he continued digging. When he opened the hatch, he saw a couple of steps that descended deeper into the shelter. But some of the steps had fallen or crumbled. The shelter had been built using a combination of concrete and a fiberglass dome. But it also appeared to have been closed off. This wasn't an accident. It was very deliberate. Sims didn't understand why someone would build a shelter and then seal it shut. This piqued his curiosity. What could possibly be down there? When he opened the door, it all made sense. Sims continued to investigate the bunker. Eventually, he discovered the room that was actually intended to keep a family safe in the event of a nuclear fallout. When Sims walked into the bunker, he expected to find a bunch of equipment and furniture, but there wasn't any. It was empty. However, the shelter had held up well over the years. Sims might not have found treasure, but, from his perspective, the bunker was invaluable. So he decided that he'd try to restore it to its original glory. On April 27, 2016, Sims launched a GoFundMe campaign to help him repair and, in some cases, rebuild major parts of the Cold War fallout shelter. But would he reach his goal? Sims figured that the upper entryway, which included the concrete and circular stairway, would cost about $2,000 to repair. But as of this date, he's managed to raise only $370. People wondered what Sims would do with the bunker. On his GoFundMe page, he wrote, "My plans are to clean up the interior, repaint it and turn it into a really cool man cave, ham shack and civil defense museum." As he started his renovation project, Sims did a little research about the Cold War era. That's when he discovered how terrified people were of a strike. And he wanted to honor that period. Aside from restoring the bunker, Sims has acquired artifacts from that time period like water supply barrels, sanitation kits, vintage ham radios, and even a few Geiger counters. But did he ever finish the project? Sims has put a lot of effort into restoring the bunker to the way it was. He even updated his GoFundMe page with some good news: stairs are finished. Now it's easy and safe to climb in and out. What began as a search for a door using a map turned into an incredible discovery from the 1960s. This bunker may never be used for its intended purpose, but Sims intends to preserve it for posterity.